Have you ever felt like your life was on autopilot and you feel like you're not even steering it? Well, a couple of years ago, I felt really stuck in my life where I felt like I was stuck in a rut. I kind of like feel like I've hit rock bottom and everything was just like a never ending cycle of I just don't know what to do. I don't know how to start. And I feel like my life will always be like this. And I'm just not meant for more. I don't deserve more in my life because it is what it is, and it's just like I'm sitting here all alone and life is just passing by me. And I know that sounds like a victim mentality, but to be honest, I just really felt that way and it was not a nice feeling. So if you feel this way right now, trust me, I get you. I completely understand, and you are not alone in this. So if you're listening to this episode, I hope you resonate and hopefully, you find it helpful in one way or another. So welcome to another new episode of A Thriving You, where it is your cozy space for all things mindset shifts, self-growth, and stories that can hopefully level up your life. So I really want to talk about how to get out of a rut. And we all know it's not pretty. It's actually pretty ugly. And I'm here to tell you it is possible to get out of it because I've been there and I know that it's just not a nice feeling to be stuck. I get it. You probably have watched tons of videos where they give you like generic advice, but you know what? Sometimes the most basic things actually do help. For me, it wasn't just laziness, but it also felt like this invisible weight on me that I just couldn't get out of it. It just makes everything way harder for some reason in my life. I know that feeling this way does not mean that you are failing, and that's one thing that I do want to emphasize, because sometimes it's so easy to feel like a complete failure when you feel like you're stuck in this rut and it is not possible to get out of it. The thing is, when you are stuck in a rut, it is actually your mind and your body trying to tell you something. It's trying to tell you that something needs to change. I want you to really listen to yourself and realize that, okay, you know what? Because I am feeling this way right now, I feel really stuck. I need to do something about it. I need to change. And one of the things that really help is to, be really self-aware. And this is one thing that I'm really big on, is to be self-aware, because if you're not self-aware about it, it is hard to change. It is hard to get out of a certain situation. Also, give yourself grace. I want you to acknowledge the feeling and the situation that you're at right now. I guess, sit in that uncomfortable feeling. After that, I want you to move on, because we are not going to stay stuck there forever. Now, one thing that you can do is to ask yourself, what is it that is making you feel this way? Like, are you overwhelmed? Are you uninspired? Or are you just burnt out from life? Is it like something mental, emotional, or physical? Like, really deep and ask yourself these questions. And I want you to be honest with yourself, because I know that it can be really uncomfortable when you are trying to be honest with yourself, but you have to realize that this is your life and you are the only person that can change it, because you can have 10 people around you that want to help you, but if you yourself feel like you cannot help yourself, it is going to be really difficult to essentially move past it, to get out of the situation that you're in right now. So for me, years back when I felt really stuck, like I was stuck in a rut, I was not happy with myself. I didn't like the way that my life was going in terms of my personal life, my relationships, my job, my finances, my health, the way I look, the way I feel. I just did not like it. And the thing is, for me, I have a coping mechanism when life is not going the way that I want. And I know we all have our vices. Some people drink, some people do drugs, some people, smoke. But for me, my vice was food. Food was my comfort. And I've never, get checked up, whether I have like an emotional, like an eating disorder, but I do know that I am an emotional eater because I binge eat essentially. And I've actually never said this before, and I think the only person that I've kind of talked about this before is with my sister because, obviously I trust her. But this is the first time that I'm actually saying this, is that I suffer from like a binge eating. And this was, years back when I was stuck in a rut. I realized that I used food as a comfort to, block out things that I did not want to face in my life. So, I would eat when I'm happy, I eat when I'm bored, I eat when I'm sad, I eat when I'm depressed, I eat when I'm angry. So I just use food as a coping mechanism to get through things in life, because in my head it just feels like, well, food is the only thing that is there for me at the end of the day, and it's tasty, when actually it's just a quick dopamine hit. And after that, if you binge eat, meaning you eat way too much, you just feel like crap, and you just want to not do it anymore. But then after the regret hits you, you're like, okay, I don't want to do it anymore. But then when you realize that life is still the same and you still hate your life and you hate yourself, you do it again, because you get that quick dopamine hit that makes you feel good for a short period of time. So I really had to acknowledge that in my life, because, the fact that I kept ignoring it is bad, because ultimately it caught up with me, like when you're binge eating, it affects your life. It affects the way you feel. It affects the way you live your life, the way you move your body. And it does not help that I was sedentary at that point of time. So, when you don't take care of yourself, it is so hard for you to show up better in other aspects of your life. So I was not performing great at my job. I wasn't, nourishing my relationships. It was just not great, essentially. So I really had to be honest with myself. And one of the things that I've done up until today is to journal. And I know you're probably rolling your eyes right now, like if you're listening to this and you think journaling sucks, and it is so, it's such a stereotypical tip to give. But honestly, genuinely, I believe that when you start journaling, it really helps, because you reflect on what is going on with your life. And if writing in a journal is not your thing, you can always type it somewhere in your notes app, in a Word doc, I don't care. Or the best thing that you can also do is to talk to yourself using a voice memo. You can use this on your phone. There's this like voice memo app where you can just like speak. And if you have an iPhone, there's actually this app installed inside called Journal, and you can basically type, or you can also speak to it. So you can just record your voice and just say out whatever it is. And I find that whenever you really reflect and be honest with yourself about what you're facing right now and why is it that your life is going the way that it is, you are going to find the root cause of it. And once you find what is the root cause, it is much more easier to move forward with solutions. And the thing with journaling, you have to realize that you can be as honest as you want, because at the end of the day, it is just between you and the paper right in front of you. You don't have to face any judgment from anyone, because ultimately no one is reading your journal. No one is going to listen to your voice note. You are the only one that is talking to it and writing into it. So it is just much more easier for you to write down whatever it is that you feel and whatever it is that is going on, because there is no judgment from anyone. Okay, now if you're like, okay, but I don't want to do journaling because it's just not my thing. But if there's one thing that you can take away from any of the tips that I will talk about in today's episode, is I want you to do one small thing differently. What I mean by this is that if you realize when you're stuck in a rut, you're essentially stuck in a routine that you've set up for yourself subconsciously. It keeps you really stagnant without even realizing. So I'll just give you an example. Let's say, your routine is you wake up and you immediately check your phone, and then you start to doom scroll online and you start to compare your lives to other people. Maybe you start to feel a little bit envious, and you really feel like, I could do so much more better, but Yet there you are, not doing anything about it, just doom scrolling and talking crap about people. And you go and shower, you get ready. Before you enter work, you get like a sugary beverage, which is essentially not an iced coffee. If you put a lot of sugar into it, it's just like a dessert. And you get something really processed to go with it to eat for breakfast. And then you go to your job. You do your job, you're sedentary. Or maybe it's just a job that you're just not passionate about it, you just don't like it. Not only do you not like the job, maybe you don't like the environment, you don't like the people, but you still, carry on because you feel like, well, life is unfair and it is what it is. After that, you go for your lunch, you eat whatever it is that you feel like eating. Most of the time, it's unhealthy choices. You go back home, and instead of cooking dinner at home, you're like, you know what? I deserve a nice treat. So you order in instead of cooking for yourself because you feel like you just got through the day. And you eat dinner while you watch Netflix. And after that, you just doom scroll on your phone again. And you fall asleep at midnight or maybe 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. And it repeats itself all over again. Now, if you're like, what's wrong with that routine? The thing is, if that routine keeps you happy and fulfilled and content with your life, it's fine, But if you realize that doing the same thing continuously keeps you in that rut that you want to get out of, that's when you need to know to change. And in order to change, it's not like, do something really freaking drastic. The thing that you can do is to do one small thing differently, and it doesn't have to be life-changing. So for me, back then when I was stuck in a rut, I realized that I would eat all the time. Like, I used food as a comfort for me, right? So I would binge eat, and not only that, but I also wouldn't move my body. So I was really sedentary, and I was actually at the highest weight at that point in time. I've never weighed so much before, and it was just not great, okay? I'll just be honest with you. So one thing that changed for me was going jogging at night. And it might not seem like a big thing, it's such a small thing, but the thing is, that is what helps, because when you change one small thing in your routine, instead of me sitting in bed and snacking and watching Netflix at night, I decide to go out for a jog. And at first, it was really uncomfortable because I did not like it. Clearly, I was really unfit. I did not want to continue, but then I trudged on and realized that, you know what? I actually feel good after that. And the thing is, I used to sleep so late, but because I went on the night jogs, when I got home and showered, I was already tired and ready for bed. So I went to sleep earlier than before. So you can see that even though it was such a small change into my routine, it's kind of like a domino effect that helps me in other aspects of my life. But the thing is, you just need to start small, just one small thing. And trust me, that small thing adds up eventually and it helps. It's just like when you do something negative. If you binge on snacks every single day, it adds up. So it's the same thing if you add something positive into your life. If you add something positive into your life, one small thing, you do it every single day consistently, it just adds up. So for me at the point in time, it gave me just enough momentum to start feeling alive again. Like, it gave me a sense of purpose to look forward to something so that it doesn't feel like life is just passing by me. And this could be something like, if you are always ordering takeout for dinner, why not change it by, going to the grocery store, get something that you like and start cooking at it at home. Like, it's just all these small changes that can eventually help you to get out of this rut that you have stayed in for so long. Now, ever since I did one small thing differently and have found the momentum, I realized that I've also reconnected with inspiration. Now, because I went for nightly jogs, I was trying to keep active. I was looking up on Instagram for, fitness inspo, and at that point of time, it wasn't really as popular as it is now, but I found someone to look up to and used her as an inspiration for me. And it's not just about just her physique that inspired me to look up to her, but also it's her mindset, it's her work ethic, it's the way she, approaches life in general. because I find that I did not have that spark, but because I saw that in her, it almost sparks curiosity and also kind of like excitement that, hey, you know what, this is something completely different and it's a positive thing. So that's when, I looked up to this person on Instagram who is not just great in fitness, but also in her career as well. And it really inspired me to take more action than just what I'm doing now, So instead of just going for night jogs, I was also looking into nutrition as well. And I remember, she was giving out like free resources, like free workout videos that you can do. And at that point of time, I think it was on Pop Sugar. I think it was called Pop Sugar, that YouTube channel. It's super popular. It has a lot of like different fitness workout videos that you can do, and it's free. So I remember she had, I think, 1 or 2 videos on it, and I kept doing it consistently because obviously I looked up to her, and she has like free resources, I'm just gonna do it. And because of her, I dive deep into the fitness world, and I start to learn a lot about health and fitness, and realize it's not just about the way that you look, it's not just aesthetic, but it's also how you feel on the inside, and how health in general is really important. Because of that inspiration that I got, it gave me some sort of like a purpose that shifted my mindset. Again, like I said, when you're stuck in a rut, you feel like you're not growing, you're stagnant. But once you find something that's purposeful, that's different, it gives you this clarity to move forward towards what you want to work on. And for me at that point of time, it was, okay, you know what, let me just work on my fitness. And it acts like a domino effect, because I started moving my body, I also started to consume foods that were nutritious, and I did not label bad foods or good foods. I just eat things in moderation. And because I was showing up for myself and I felt good health-wise, I also started to show up better in my personal life, in my relationships, in my job. And again, like I said, it was just like a domino effect. Everything is like a cycle. You do one thing, it affects everything in your life. Even if you don't realize it now, you will definitely feel it at some point where you're like, hey, I feel kind of different, or things are looking differently for me right now, and I don't feel as bad as before. That's when you know that you're slowly getting out of the rut. And another thing that I would encourage you to do is to also sit with your emotions. And getting out of the rut doesn't mean that you are completely avoiding the discomfort, but you're actually, working through it, which means you are facing the discomfort right in front of you and you're working towards it. For me, when I was feeling really stuck and I was working through my fitness, I realized how unfit I was, and it was so uncomfortable for me to even just do basic movements. For me, like certain exercises that were effortless for different people was so hard for me, and I did not enjoy doing it. But I knew that in order for me to get past it is to just sit with the discomfort and go through it. Because when you do the hard things continuously, you will build up this momentum and this confidence in yourself that you can actually do it. You are capable of doing the difficult things that you thought that were impossible in the first place. At the end of the day, it is not going to be easy, but it is definitely necessary. So another thing is to create your own momentum. Now, action doesn't come after motivation, it creates it. Again, I started small. I started with going on night jogs, and over time it added up to real change because, when I start to move my body and then I start to learn more from the fitness influencer that I followed, and I start to implement it to my nutrition, and it just pours into other parts of my life, I realized that I've created my own momentum because I see changes, positive changes happening in my life, and I wasn't feeling as shitty as I was before. And the thing is, when you are at that point, I want you to celebrate the small wins. No matter how small it is, I want you to acknowledge it and celebrate it, because it's an evidence in your head that, okay, you know what, because I'm doing all these things as a positive thing, you see positive changes in your life. Those are proof and evidence that you are moving forward in your life and not going backwards. Because when you are stuck in a rut, you always feel like you're either not moving But if you're moving, you feel like you're going 10 steps backwards. And that's something that you don't want to do, because in life, we always want to move forwards, right? Like, it's humans, it's natural. It's a thing where, we naturally want to progress. We want to grow. We want to thrive in situations. We want to thrive in life. We never want to always go backwards. And if you've gone backwards, it is always possible to move forwards in life, because where else do you want to go? If you've hit rock bottom, there's no deeper way than rock bottom, okay? So the only way to change that is to move forward and go up. So I'm going to wrap up this week's episode, and I really hope that listening to this has helped you in a way, or maybe has given you that inspiration to, move forward. And I know that if you're stuck in a rut right now, I want you to remember that it is never too late to get out of it, because it is not impossible. You're not alone in this. That is something that I really want to emphasize, is that you're not alone in this. Like, I've been there. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who've been through this as well. But, being stuck in a rut is just a phase and a season in your life. It is something that you will get through it, and you will just get up better on the other side. Trust me, there is light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to be the one shining the light. Because, again, like I said, like, you can have 10 people who really want to help you, but if you yourself don't want to help yourself, like, you don't believe in yourself enough, there's no point in having so many people trying to help you. Because at the end of the day, let's be real, you are the only person that can change your life and that can move forward. You can have so many people helping you, but if you feel like you don't believe in yourself, that you can't do it, then I guess you can't do it. Whatever you tell yourself, you're going to believe it. So instead of telling negative things to yourself, I want you to say things that are positive and that would help to change your life. And with that being said, I'm going to wrap up this week's episode, and I really hope that if you're listening to this right now, you've made it this far. I hope that this episode has helped you in one way or another. And if you're stuck in a rut right now, you feel like you've hit rock bottom, I just want you to remember that you are not alone. Trust me, I've been there. I'm pretty sure there's tons of people who've been in this feeling, in this situation before, but I just want you to know that you don't have to stay there. It is not a permanent thing where you stay in this rut, because it is not forever. You can always change. You can make the decision right now to move forward with your life. And it does not have to be a big life-changing sort of decision. It can just be one small decision that when you do it consistently, it will add up and it will create a momentum, and eventually it will create a positive thing in your life. And before you know it, you're actually out of the rut. And I know it's easier said than done, but trust me when I say this, that it has to start from you. So again, I hope this episode has helped you, and let me know, like, what is one small thing that you'll try today to shift things. And like I said, it doesn't have to be big, it can be any small thing. Like, let's say you decide to go on a 10-minute walk the moment you wake up instead of doom scrolling on your phone. That is something small. And I have to say, like, even though it may seem small to people, it can be a huge thing for you at that point of time. And it's okay. The thing is, you will have to acknowledge the discomfort, but once you get through it and you actually do the thing, like, it's going to feel so much more easier. So yeah, let me know in the comments, what is the one small thing you'll try today to shift things? If not today, then maybe this week or this month. I know that the new year is rolling around, and we're approaching it. And if you feel anxious, you feel like, oh, my life is still the same even though we're coming towards the end of the year, or my life just got worse, I'm here to tell you that it is not permanent, it is not a forever thing, and you can get through this, and you will get through this, because I believe in you. If no one is telling you that, I'm here to tell you that I believe in you. So again, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you're watching this on YouTube, I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel because it really helps to support. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, please leave a positive rating. I would really appreciate it, and I'm so grateful for you guys, listening to this right now. And hopefully I will see you in my next episode. Bye.